Oh, so excited again, like usual, another episode of On the Road with Signing Agents with a loan signing system. Julie, in the great state of Idaho. Yes, in Idaho. This is phenomenal. The story's inspiring for like a million reasons, like all these awesome stories are. But what I really like about your story, Julie, is she's in a small town in Idaho, and it's 40,000 people in her town. It's not like she's in Boise or she's in Los Angeles or she's in Dallas, and she does $4,000 a month part-time as a signing agent in a 40,000 person town. How does that sound?
I love it. It's so exciting. It's over 4,000 now. This month it's going to be over 5,000.
Over $5,000 a month
Yes.
part-time. This is incredible. Okay, so let's start inspiring. Julie, what I want to inspire people is, you probably know by all these interviews, is I like to talk about a certain kind of like paradigm, and yours is small town folks. Because I hear a lot of people like, oh, I only have 50,000 people in my town. I only have 100,000 people in my town. So, and I think 100,000 people is a lot, but, some people are like, well, there's only 3 real estate offices in my town. So I want to talk through people through your journey of what I would call a small town signing agent making $5,000 a month part-time. But before we get into that, I always like to start with your journey. So, let's kind of talk through why you became a signing agent. What's your why in general? Why are you doing this? Why are you making $5,000 a month on top? So let's kind of start with that question, Julie. Why are you becoming a signing? Why did you become a signing agent?
Well, thank you, Mark, for having me. I am a loan signing agent. I became a loan signing agent because I have been a notary for about 20 years in the state of California, and I knew that I was going to be moving to Idaho. And when we refinanced our house in California, this notary came to our house, and I was like, why am I not doing this? And so she told me, well, why don't you register on signing services? And I was like, what is that?
So this is crazy. So I didn't know this. So you were a notary for 20 years.
Yes.
No idea what a signing agent was.
No idea what a signing agent was.
Okay. And I think this is kind of a common thread through a lot of notaries are like, you actually can make money as a signing agent. And I
Yes,
love that you had an aha moment when there was like a notary sitting there literally making $100 for watching you sign paperwork.
yes. And she was great, but well, anyways. So she told me to go on signing services. So I Googled signing services like that night, and then Mark Wills came up, and then I registered for your program, the six-figure program, of course. And the rest is history. So I registered, took the test immediately, like, within a month, I started reviewing your videos, took the test, and then about a month later, I moved to Idaho, became an Idaho notary, and passed all my tests that I needed to do to become a signing agent.
Cool. And so let's talk through that. So you moved, this is crazy. So you went from like probably one of the best markets in the country for signing agents of Los Angeles.
Yes,
And you're like, I'm going to go move to a town of 40,000 people.
yes.
And now you're making $5,000 a month. So, but before we talk about that, but I think it's incredible how you literally went from like the best market in the country to
Yes,
thousands of people. Um,
yes.
so, why did you, so you have a full-time job, I think what makes this also inspiring to some people watching it is you're not a full-time signing agent. So, but why did you need the part-time income? Like talk through that, because I think there's some people who can relate to the reason why because not like you don't have a job, right?
Correct. Yes, I made pretty good money in California, very good from what I felt to me. And I knew that moving to Idaho, the income wasn't going to be as good. Actually, it was going to be pretty low from what I knew. So I do have a full-time job. It really is not enough to keep me going and having fun and doing the things that I want to do, traveling back home if I want to travel or just whatever. So I knew that I wanted to do the loan signing agent, and I sat on it for a little while. I have no idea why. And as soon as I picked it up, as soon as I told myself now is the time, I went going. I got everything that I needed to do to be a notary in my car, because I knew that being out in the woods, which is kind of where I live, that it was going to be really important to have as much office set up in my car as possible. So
let's
I
talk.
got every.
I love that. We're going to talk about that, but I think it's really key for signing agents in rural areas or smaller towns, what words you want to use. But what I really heard, which if you're okay with me talking about, I think is something that's very transparent. And thank you, because I think it helps other people watching this. And what I heard you say is like, you basically were living paycheck to paycheck, or, it wasn't bringing in the money that could give you a true lifestyle that you really wanted. And you're not the only person in that category, needless to say. So I want to say thank you for being transparent, because I think that might inspire someone else watching this, like who's in a small town, saying, man, Julie, I'm in the same spot as you. I live paycheck to paycheck, or I don't have the extra money to travel, the extra money to put in savings or whatnot. So thank you for that. And I think that, making $5,000 a month part-time has probably exceeded what you anticipated making as a part-time signing agent.
Well, it is, I had goals, and after seeing all your other videos, and I was striving to push myself. So that's what I'm doing. And I know that I have a lot more in me. So it's really exciting to see where I can go from here.
You're a part-time signing agent, and you're doing $5,000 a month in a town of 40,000 people. So let's kind of jump to that, right? I think that like I said, I want to speak to somebody else who is in Nevada in a small town of 40,000 people, or California. We have a ton of small towns in California, so let's talk through, the small town signing agent doing $5,000 a month part-time. I mean, is it safe to say, and I don't know, we haven't really discussed this. I mean, is it safe to say that there's not a title office on every other corner like there is in LA or something?
No, as soon as I became a loan signing agent, I did a Google search of all the of all the title companies in this area, and there's like five in a like a wide mile range, like maybe 50 or more, 100 miles,
Yeah, it's
maybe
crazy.
more.
Well, I think that's really inspiring, Julie, because I think a lot of people, because I get these phone calls all the time. Well, Mark, I live in a town of 100,000 people, which is like twice the size of yours, and there's only like 5 escrow title offices. And I go, it's not relevant. If you can become, every town, no matter how big or small, has mortgages that need notaries closing, and your goal is just to be the best notary in your town, and that's what you are becoming. And so we're going to talk about how long you've been doing this in a moment, but I really want to talk through this idea that you're doing 4 to 5 grand a month in a town of 40,000, with a town in a town that only has 4 or 5 title offices.
Mhm.
Right? I mean, inspire somebody else who is in a small town, and of just trying to be I think the key is, if you're the best in a small town, you can make good money.
Yes. And my goal is to be the best and make great money.
I love it. And so, you're walking proof that it is. So let's talk about this ruralness, because I think, I always ask people at the end of these interviews, what's one tip you can give a signing agent to help their business? And what's cool is, I think I'd like to get into the one tip that you would give a signing agent in a small town. And you kind of alluded to it about 5 minutes ago. And let's talk through that. So what's that one tip you give a signing agent in a small town like yours, a piece of advice?
Piece of advice for a small town is to have a mobile office. For me, that's what works. That way I don't have to worry about driving home and scanning or printing or getting whatever supplies that I need. I have everything out of my car, and I could be at an appointment an hour away and get another assignment right then and there, and I don't have to worry about having to go home and print documents. I can just print it from the side of the road if I need to.
And I think that's a great piece of advice. What allows you to stay so busy is the fact that you don't need to travel back and forth to like your house home base, because you could be 60 miles away from your house and still take a signing that is 10 minutes away because you're printing from your office. Because of the power of editing, I will try to get a picture of your mobile office and edit it into here, so maybe people can just see what it looks like in the back of your car. That's a really good piece of information, is what really changes the game for you and allows you to do 4 to 5,000 bucks a month is being able to be on the road. And so I'm gonna give a little bit of a nugget here, because I think what makes you a busy signing agent is you're one of the few signing agents in your town who are able to print remotely and on the road. So the signings are coming to you because they know that you're able to print on the road. And it's one of the things I think that gives you a competitive advantage against other signing agents in your town that are like, who have to like literally tell the person on the other phone, well, I can't really make 5 because I got to go back home, print the doc. So can you see if your borrower can sign at 6? When no signing service or escrow or title company wants that sentence said. But when they call you, it is, can you do a 6 o'clock? And you can print from your car. The answer is immediately, yes, I can.
Yes, and it's such a great feeling. I love that because at first I didn't have a mobile office in my car, and it was like, I was really kind of stressing out and did have to go home and limited myself on the appointments. And I knew immediately after that first month, I was like, I need to get a mobile office set up. So I did, and it's been like such a relief.
Well, and I think that's probably the best nugget we can give a small town signing agent in this. And frankly, if you're in Los Angeles, having a mobile office doesn't hurt. But I think what really makes you stand out above your competition in your rural areas, because like you said, sometimes you're in the woods, but you know what? In the woods, you get cell service. As long as you have cell service, you can test the Wi-Fi, you can print docs, and so you're getting all the phone calls because they know they can rely on you, other than a signing agent who could do the signing but still has to take an extra hour to go home, or this is called an extra 30 minutes, an extra 30 minutes to print. You're like, no, I don't need an extra 30 minutes. You have a signing in 30 miles from here. I can do it. I can print docs. And Julie, I think that is probably one of the best nuggets we can give a small town signing agent. And so let's speak about the geography that you travel to, because you're in a small town. Like, you're not in Los Angeles or Dallas or Miami or Seattle or Portland. So talk about kind of the travel that you'll do throughout a day to let other small town signing agents know that, like, it's possible.
Okay, well, I live in the North Idaho Panhandle, which is the most narrowest point of Idaho at the very top of the United States, about 100 miles away from the Canadian border. So I am 100 miles away from the Canadian border and about 30 miles away from Washington and about 75 miles away from Wyoming. So I'm in between. So I'm kind of limited those directions on where I can go. I can only go down, which there's not much down. And so I do drive pretty far, about 70-ish, 75 miles to and from appointment. This morning I had an appointment that's 35 miles away. And then today I'm going in the complete opposite direction, about 100 miles in opposite direction. So right after this appointment, I have 3 appointments back to back to back. So it all works out.
Ages, I mean, like, you got to get off the road, do the interview. Thank you so much. 3 more appointments. That's so awesome. And you're gonna have a $500-600 day. I think that is incredible, man. Thank you so much again for taking the time out to inspire others. So to recap what you said, which, once again, I'm trying to, in this interview, I'd like to speak to the small town signing agent, not necessarily somebody in LA or Seattle or Dallas, but you'll travel 100 miles. And that is also, once again, the power of having the mobile office. And you can be 100 miles out, print the docs, not need to go 100 miles back. So your geography of what you're allowed to hit becomes so much more easy for you and allows you to do more appointments.
Yes.
And like I said, I think what really makes you have an extreme competitive advantage is your mobility of printing docs. And I don't want that to be lost on this, because if you're in a small town like Julie, just make sure you understand that you want to be able to print on the fly, because that will literally separate you from the other signing agents who can't. You'll get more phone calls, you'll get more orders, you'll be able to fit more orders in your day. Because if you're 100 miles out, like you're going today, you're coming back and you can go 30 miles out because you just got to stop off at a local parking lot, hit print, then you're on your way. So I think it's really, really cool. I think this interview is awesome. I mean, you're inspiring people who come from towns of 40 or 50,000 people that you can crush it. You don't need to be in the LAs and give me another big city, you know what I mean? And the Las Vegases, the San Franciscos of the world, or the Seattles of the world, or the Boise's. Boise has to be 1 million people, you know what I mean? And you're in a town of 40,000 doing more than most signing agents are, because you really have set up your mobile office, and obviously you're a great signing agent. And so, like you said, you're getting some business from signing services, which is amazing. Let's talk about that a little bit, because when you're in a rural town, you need to be able to diversify your signings from signing services, title companies. You got to get them everywhere, right? So you have some really good relationships with signing services, and so I want to inspire these rural town notaries of, you can create relationships with signing services where they're calling you directly. They're not doing the cattle call, and they're like, because you're super reliable. why do you think you've created some of these great relationships with these signing services to inspire other small town signing agents?
I personally just feel that I do everything that is expected. I print the documents, or as soon as I get the assignment, I call the borrower, I tell them that it's confirmed. I print both sets of documents. I go meet them. I'm on time. I call for follow-up. I just communicate. And as soon as I'm done with the appointment, I indicate the status, and then I scan the documents and send them. I don't think I've been late on any documents being sent. I've always sent them on time. I get to FedEx or UPS before the cutoff time, which is early here, by the way, in Idaho. And I still make it.
Love it. I mean, I think you said a lot of great points, and what I want to inspire, because when you on a small town, when you're 40,000, 100,000 or less, frankly, you want to create solid relationship with signing services and title companies, so you're getting a flow in all directions, not one over the other, right? And so what I wanted you to talk through is that you do have signing services who call you directly. Is that a true statement?
Yes, that is correct.
And so, and it's because of what I would call your amazing work ethic, right? What you just talked through is what makes you amazing, in that you, like you said, you're always on time. Well, a lot of loan signing system characteristics, but you're always showing these signing services you go above and beyond, and you're more reliable than other signing agents. And so you're able to create those relationships, because some small town signing agents think that you only can get signings through cattle calls. They won't call you directly, and you're saying that's not true.
That is not true. In fact, I started taking your advice, the advice on your Facebook page, to call the signing service if I get the request and I'm not getting a response right away, which I actually did this morning. I didn't get the request right away, and I was like, I'm just going to call. So I called the signing service, and a little bit later, maybe 30 minutes later, they called me back saying, okay, yes, you can have it. I'm like, oh my gosh, yay, that's so exciting. So I'm definitely going to keep doing that too.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, obviously you're calling up, you're leaving a message using the script and the bullet points I tell you to keep. And I think that's the best example of an implementer, Julie.
Yes, thank you so much, Mark, for all the advice. I mean, there's so much, and you just keep on doing these videos so we can keep on learning and growing.
I love it. I know, and I think, I mean, these are supposed to inspire others. We really can't give the course away, because I want to respect your investment. But I do want to say that I'm proud of you, and I hope other people get inspired that successful people are just implementers. You don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? It's, Mark, I took your advice. I called. I said exactly what you told me to say, and crazy enough, I got a loan signing. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And I think a lot of people out there, try to think that they have to reinvent something, when you can just follow a system and do it. And so, it's not supposed to be a big commercial for the loan signing system, but it is a point that I think that is very important to inspire others, is just implement something. You don't need to recreate the wheel. If you just follow a system or course, everything's kind of falls in place. And I think that's inspiring within itself, because a lot of signing agents, Julie, try to figure this out on their own. And it's like, why? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, it all kind of clicks. You just kind of got to jump and go, and then just think of you and all your videos at the same time. And I love it. I'm in month 4 now, and I'm booming.
Okay, let's talk about this. Is great. So, for me. So I get so excited. You're in month number 4, and you're doing $5,000 a month part time.
Yes, month 4, $5,000.
Okay, so let's talk through some signing through the journey of this, because I know some people are curious. Okay, how many signings did you do month 1? How many signings did you do month 2? So let's take them through your journey and of the past 4 months, and talk them through that.
Okay, month 1, I started July 9th. I did 17 appointments. Month 2, I did 27 appointments. Month 3, I did 43 appointments. And month 4, which we're not at the end of the month yet, I've done 45 appointments. By the end of today, will be like 47 appointments, maybe more. So.
Oh my gosh. This is absolutely amazing. Like, I honestly just get so excited about your guys' success. This is insane. In 4 months, in a town of 40,000 people, you're doing 4,000 to 5,000. You've scaled it already in month number 4. You're going to surpass $4,000. You're going to probably hit
Yes.
5, and you're in a town of 40,000 people. I mean, Julie,
Yes. Very small.
I hope everybody watching it from a small town realizes what's possible with hard work, being the baddest signing agent you can be in your town. You just need to be the best person in your town, no matter how big or small, and you can create a business you want. I mean, you now want to make 6 figures, and you're in a town of 40,000 people, and you realize, like I teach you, 6 figures is possible, and you don't live in a major metropolitan city, and your goals are now at the 6-figure level.
They are. And I will reach that goal.
Julia, I think, like I said, this interview is amazingly inspiring. You know, I think the fact that you went from $0 to $5,000 in 4 months in a town of 40,000 people is insane. So let's kind of wrap up. I know you need to get out of here, and so, but I want to make sure that, you know, I always ask one question. You've already given one great tip of, you know, one piece of advice you give a signing agent, and that is in a rural town, and that's to have a mobile office. Let's kind of, I'm looking for another tip that can help a signing agent. Now, looking back 4 months ago, what is something that you were nervous about then that today you're like, man, I should never have been nervous about that at all?
I don't remember really being nervous about anything in particular except for being late and not being on time. So if I'm, I do communicate to the borrower, so I just reach out to them and let them know, hey, especially because I go to rural areas and I have no idea. There's like no street lights. It's pitch black. I go through dirt roads. There's animals, and the next driveway is a quarter mile away. Like, I have no idea what the address is, so I could be in the right place at the right time, but I don't know where I'm going. I'm not familiar with their property, so it takes me just that much longer to get there. So being on time, I think, was the most thing that I'm nervous about. But I just make sure I communicate with them, and everybody's very understandable, and they just say, "Oh, you go this way," and they're fine.
So I think that's actually a really, really good piece of advice, specifically for people in rural areas. You know, what you're saying is, I think it's a great piece of advice is, you know, you try to do your best to be on time, but, you know, because sometimes you're in super rural areas, if you just simply communicate on the front end, they're not very upset. And frankly, they understand, because you're like, yes, I'm like the 3rd tree, take a left at the orchard and take a right at the flagpole, and you're there.
Exactly.
I think it's a great piece of advice. I think so, you know, kind of make that become full circle is, you know, you were nervous about being late to borrowers' homes, but you learn that if you just make a phone call in advance, just not show up late, that you make your phone call in advance, like, hey, I'm running a little bit late, I can't find your driveway or whatnot, that they actually tend to be more understanding than you probably originally thought they were. And now that you know that, you're no longer nervous about giving them a heads up. And I think that's a great piece of advice. And I think that's a great piece of advice, frankly, for all signing agents. And that is, you know, just communicate to your borrowers who are going to be running a little bit behind. Hopefully it's not a normal occurrence, but even in a rural town, I'm sure there's a little more flexibility because you're in a rural town. So if you're a rural signing agent watching this, and understand that everyone knows you're in a rural town. So don't over stress out about being late. Just make sure you communicate and you're good to go.
Yes, I communicate, and I have not sensed anybody being upset about me if I am late or anything, or about me communicating. I don't feel that I over communicate. I just make sure that I reach out to them. So to me, I feel that everybody's been perfectly fine and happy to see me when I get there.
No, I love it. I made you think about that, but I think that was a really good nugget, especially once again, this is really focused towards signing agents in small towns. And so if they're thinking about like, oh my gosh, directions are crazy, Google Maps doesn't work sometimes,
No.
call up, tell them you're gonna be a little bit late, ask for directions, goodness forbid, you know, and everything's okay.
Yes.
Is there any last parting words you want to leave for a signing agent in a rural town? Anything, last comments? If not, no worries, but keep doing it.
Just go get it. Don't be afraid. Just do it. Just jump, get whatever supplies you needed, get, and go and start making money. Just do it.
I love it. I love it. Let's go. All right, Julie, go knock out those 3 signings. Drive safe. You're amazing. And have a blessed rest of your end of the month. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.